Hello everyone, welcome again to the YouTube channel where you are going to master cloud and FinOps. Please hit the bell icon and subscribe the channel so you will get the notification about all the upcoming content and videos. So today I'm going to talk about the resource optimization, which is one of the key capability of optimize phase. So as we talked in one of the previous video, that to optimize the cost, you have only two options. One is either optimize the consumption or resources or optimize the rates. So in this video, we are going to talk how we can optimize the resources and consumption. So if you worked on any of the cloud hyperscalers, so these are the common best practices which you can execute it in any of the cloud ecosystem. It could be Azure, AWS, or GCP, and then you will able to optimize the overall uses. So these are the not the limited one, but I listed couple of key ones. So the one basic thing is you should disable or deprovision the test or sandbox infra whenever it is not needed. So it could be the best practice related to turning off the VMs or EC2, which are dedicated for the development or test environment or sandbox environment. So whenever it is not needed, you can just disable or turn off those resources. The second one is your storage data. So all the three hyperscalers allowing you to tier your data, less critical data to the lower tiers, like it could be cold tiers or it could be infrequent access tiers. So basically, whatever the data you don't require to access on a frequent basis, and you are okay to retrieve that data with the higher retrieval time, then you should move that low critical data to the lower tier. Then third best practice is the optimize the size of compute or database services. So cloud is allowing you to provision the resources or compute resources or database resources with the smaller capacity and then increase the size, right? Then why we should provision the compute and database resources with the higher capacity from beginning, unlike traditional data centers? I understand that in traditional data centers we used to do because we want to provision a higher capacity to tackle the future demand because procurement timelines were too high. But in cloud, you can provision the capacity just on a single click. Then it is always recommended to optimize the compute and database resources to the optimal capacity or required capacity and then increase it gradually whenever it is needed. The one area which is not touched by many of the cloud engineers or cloud administrators is transition from third party licenses to the native solutions. So if we will use third party softwares or platforms or licenses, then obviously we have to invest in terms of capability development, manpower to manage those third party, and then the complicated architecture, right? Because as soon as you will have a one vendor architecture or cloud native architecture, it is easy to manage it. You will have a future compatibility with the upcoming features, but in third party it may not be possible. That if Azure, let's say, launch one new service, your third party application or platform may not be compatible at the initial stage. Then why should we use the third party platforms where we don't have a guarantee of compatibility with the cloud native services? So example is BigQuery. So BigQuery, which is basically the native database solution by the Google, we can easily integrate it with the Vertex AI, right? So what the Google is launching the services which are compatible with their cloud native services. Similarly, it is happening with Azure or AWS. Then preference always should be on utilizing the native solutions, native licensing models. Then fifth one is the modernizing the resources. So it will happen only once we will optimize the existing cloud resources. Then there is no possibility for further optimization. Then we could modernize the overall resources or overall ecosystem. So it could be IaaS to PaaS modernization, PaaS to SaaS modernization, or even microservices modernization. So modernization will come in a picture when we already matured the existing infra. Then containerization is also one of the area where we know containers are the lightweight in nature, they are cost effective, and obviously performance also will get optimum here when we will leverage the containers infra or containerization in our ecosystem. So we should go in an area or go in a direction where we are focusing on the containerization adoption. Serverless architecture is also one of the area where we can optimize the uses, because most of the infra is managed by hyperscaler and we are using infrastructure as a service, right? So serverless architecture allow us to just use the piece of components for our compute capacity or basically the compute work, but majority of infra is managed by hyperscaler. So serverless architecture adoption is also one of the best practice to optimize the uses. Then substitute the services. So today if we are using one service and if hyperscaler is releasing the new service or new I would say billing model, then why should we follow the traditional or legacy model, right? So in that case, we can use the substitute service, which is the latest service in terms of performance or in terms of cost optimization. So example is GP2 to GP3 migration, right? So if we will move from GP2 to GP3, we will able to save 20% cost and performance will also improve. Then even if I am having 100 VMs with the GP2 storage, we could migrate to the GP3 in Azure. So in this way, these substitute services will also help us to optimize the usage. Then obviously without automation, without DevOps, we cannot assume the full maturity of FinOps. So we should adopt the DevOps practices and mature our DevOps practices with time. So these are the common best practices which will allow you to take significant cost saving via optimizing the overall usage or consumption. So now the question will come that how to decide that which best practice we should follow it, right? It is not that like, okay, tomorrow you will log into the cloud ecosystem and you will implement all these in one go. So again, maturity will come here picture, crawl, walk, run. You remember these concepts we heard in the one of the previous video. So in the same way, we should implement all these best practices. Now, how to prioritize it, right? What are the rationale behind prioritization or behind prioritization of these optimization opportunity? So we should ask some questions to the stakeholders and we should assess all these best practices on the fact that what exact value we are going to achieve after this implementation. So we should understand the overall tangible and intangible benefits. Then once we have the benefits in place, we should understand that what is the total effort required. So if we are going to invest 8% effort in one of the best practice and then the dollar saving is just a few dollars, then we can deprioritize it and we should take or prioritize the items where we will get most out of it. So effort estimation would be required. Then what is reasonable or what is feasible? So it is not that easy that we will go and just implement it, right? There are certain dependencies with the application portfolios or application teams or compatibility with the application teams. So we should understand what is reasonable and whether our operation team is skilled enough to execute these today itself. If not, then obviously we should improve the maturity of operation and then we should again assess it based on the feasibility. And then the important one is, as soon as we will identify these opportunities, who is the right stakeholders who will give the sign off? So take the example of data tiering from cold tier to or hot tier to cold tier or maybe archive tier. Who should be the right point of contact who will tell us that, okay, do it technically? Yes, you are going to get the sign off from them. Who are those stakeholders? So that is the reason proper cost allocation is must. You should understand who is the accountable for those cloud resources and then you need to take the sign off from the right stakeholders. So while tiering the data, there are different facts like, okay, in how many days or how many hours end user is going to retrieve this data, what are the organization's guidelines with respect to data retention. Okay, so cyber will also come in here in a picture, or organization application portfolio will also come in a picture because they only know how frequently this data will get utilized. End user also will be the key area or key objects to consider here. before taking any decision. So in this way, via assessing all these opportunities against these factors, we can easily prioritize this. We should identify the low hanging fruits and take it ahead for the sign off. As soon as we will get the sign off, we can implement it under the operate phase. So in this way, I hope that you understood these key best practices for the optimizing uses or consumptions. In case if you have any further query, feel free to write down it in the comment section and I will reply there. Do not forget to press the share and subscribe button so you will get the notification of my upcoming content and you will get benefited out of that content. Till the time, stay tuned. Have a wonderful day ahead. Bye bye.